412. Dr. Dobbins, would you do the invocation?
Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for the privilege of being here. Just thank you for the gift of life, another day. Thank you for this privilege of considering the Cherokee Nation's business. We pray you give us discernment as we go through this day. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Shelley, could you do the roll call?
Yes, sir. Dick Lake.
Here.
Harley Buster.
Here.
Bill England.
Honey.
Keith Austin.
Here.
Joe Bird. Sean Crittenden.
Here.
Mike Dobbins.
Here.
Frankie Hargis. Present. Wanda Hatfield. Rex Jordan.
Here.
Mike Stambaugh.
Here.
Mary Bakershaw.
Ani.
Leo Smith.
Here.
Denise Taylor. Here. Victoria Lopez. Eddie Walking Stick. Brian Warner.
I'd like to ask for approval of minutes.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
On reports, March the Lamb.
Council, you have my report. If there's any questions, glad to answer or try to find out.
Any questions? Harley.
Marshall, are we still doing the veterans thing this fall?
Are we what?
The veterans,
You'll have to check with Barbara Foreman on that.
that's right, sorry.
Anyone else? Thank you, Marshall.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
being a veteran, I'd like to maybe have a Barbara Foreman come over with a report on a quarterly basis or a bi-monthly basis. Nothing in particular yet. You know, we put a lot of money in our veteran center over there, and I'd like to at least have a report where veterans can hear that, so. I'd like to put that on the agenda for next month as a.
Okay, we'll find the appropriate committee, okay?
Harley, that's actually under Brian Shade.
Oh, okay, under Brian Shade.
Either one of them.
Oh, okay.
I did. Michael, you were stepping up for Ron Qualls, is that right?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. If you may not know, Mr. Qualls retired last month, I believe it was. So I'm temporarily standing in as the interim executive director during this time. So I guess for the time being, I'll be reporting on for his part of community services. So I think you have the community services report, and be glad to answer any questions if you have it, or try to get you an answer.
Okay. Any questions? Denise wants to know if you're drawing 2 paychecks.
No, sir. No, ma'am, no, sir.
Good.
Okay, we're even.
Harley, did you raise your hand?
Yes, I have a couple of questions. Michael, I suppose you're aware that they taken the road that go to Sequoia Cabins and now it's a Cherokee Nation Road, or will be.
Yeah, property. I guess, yeah, Cherokee Nation Road and the property are surrounding the road, yes.
Okay, so it'll go on our road inventory as far as upkeep and stuff, as far as it goes. The main highway to Sequoia.
That'll be one that, yeah, that'll be one that we want to get added to the inventory. That'll take some time as far as the inventory process goes, but yeah, that'll be something we want to get added. Yes. Yes, I was aware of that.
Okay. The other thing is, I saw a quote in here for, I guess Billy Hicks or his people have requested additional tribal funds carryover for MOAs that were in place last fiscal year but not complete. What does that mean? Did we request more money through an MOA from somebody or from the tribe, and you didn't get it?
No, Harder, basically what it is at the end of the fiscal year, when we have an MOA in place with a district or a public works authority for a project, if that project isn't fully spent, when that MOA or when the fiscal year ends, the money from that fiscal year goes away. and we have to take the following year's allocation of tribal funds to encumber into that MOA. So what we did, we requested the money that was encumbered but not spent in the fiscal year prior to be carried forward into this year so we could put it on those MOAs.
Okay, so with these are carryable funds you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. That replacing last year's. So you didn't get it, is that what you're saying?
No, we've requested it, and I believe we're going to get it.
Okay.
At the time I wrote that report, we
Okay,
just
okay,
hadn't, we
okay.
hadn't been told.
And then another question is making preparations in case an infrastructure bill is passed by Congress that includes funding, additional funding for tribal water and wastewater. What's that bill? What is that?
Well, we don't know.
Okay.
You know, the omnibus came out, and there wasn't a specific infrastructure stimulus like
Okay.
was passed in 2009.
Yeah.
But we want to be ready if one does come from Congress and be ready for to have projects ready to go to construction.
Okay. And then I take it you probably haven't got housing money yet.
Haven't. We've received word that probably we'll get some form of notification either this week or next week.
Okay. So it's near.
IHS has gotten their allocation from Congress, and they're
Okay.
in the
So it's close.
they are divvying it up between the area offices and the tribes.
Okay. Thanks, sir.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Okay, thank you. And are you gonna just go ahead and stay over, Michael, and do your roads?
Yeah, if that's what you'd like, yes, sir.
Yes, please.
Again, you have our report on the, from the transportation, and just a couple of quick items to mention. We are wrapping up quickly the easement acquisition, or the right-of-way acquisition process on Ross Street. We have 3 parcels that are remaining, or outstanding. Those will be, the deadline to get those wrapped up and turned into us from the acquisition agent is this Friday, and it looks, or it appears at this point, that we'll need to take those 3 to condemnation, through the condemnation process to gain access to the property. And then, so we'll be working through that. And then also there's an ARC study that had to be done on the project. So we're working through that one as well. Just Northeast Fort Gibson project between here and Muskogee County, and then the White Oak Road project in Craig County, both in the utility relocation phase. Dwight Mission Road in Sequoia County is in the very beginnings of the Dwight Mission North, I should say, from I-40 north up to near the Stomp Grounds, is in the right-of-way acquisition phase. We signed the offer letters on those today, so the acquisition agent will be starting making phone calls and knocking on doors to start acquiring that property. Finalizing the Moonshine Road project in Sequoia County, trying to get it all the final payment and everything made on that. And I'm just kind of going through some of my notes here. Honey Hill project in Adair County is on target. Should be scheduled to wrap up here probably the next 30 to 45 days. I think they're going to start paving pretty quick. I think that is about it. Mr. Chair, if you got any questions, if there's any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Any questions? Harley?
And you might have said that, Michael. Do you anticipate having the road, Ross Road, going up to the new clinics completed by the time the clinic is open?
That's certainly our goal. That's our intention. The right-of-way has set us back a little bit, not a whole lot, but a little bit. And the fact that 3 of them will have to go through the condemnation process, that's sort of that's a wild card right now. We really don't know how long that'll take. We're kind of at the mercy of the courts at that time. We actually let the right-of-way process kind of drag out a little bit longer than we had originally anticipated, in hopes of acquiring the right-of-way through the normal acquisition process without having to go through condemnation. But it's just not working out right now like that. So we just had to set a firm deadline. Friday's the deadline to get everything turned in to us. And unless something shakes loose between now and Friday, it looks like there'll be 3 of them going through the condemnation process. So,
just one other thing that I've noticed in your report, and we still have an ongoing issue with the road in Delaware County as far as contracting. But before this contractor bids, if he submits another bid for a road, I'd like you to let this committee know.
okay.
And I'm not naming the contractor, you'll know who it is, but it's over a year out of compliance. Something has to be done. So just let this committee know.
Okay.
Thanks, sir.
Welcome, Mike.
Thank you. Harley, is the road we're talking about Kindred Leach Road?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that was my concern also. And I also have the same concerns about, it's been so long and it's really, I don't know, I have a hard time seeing this company getting more roads from us when they can't complete their road in a timely manner. It's been well over a year. You know, and I still get calls, I still get complaints. It is in my district, and it is a terrible road in spots. So, yeah, I would like to know when possibly there is going to be a date it's going to be completed. I mean, I don't know if we can be in touch with them, but, you know, we've been told many different things every month. So,
I know.
you know, this is kind of getting on the point of ridiculous to the point of where now the media has actually, I've been contacted by the media too. So, you know, something needs to be done.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I report information that is provided to me from the contractor, and they've, just like you stated, they've given us many dates over the past several years, actually, that the project's been going, and that's typically what I report, or that is what I report. It just continuously keeps moving out and out and out. I was up through there last week. They do have all the patches now paved. There's asphalt there's no gravel patches any longer, which I know were very troublesome for drivers because they weren't being maintained either. Now, with that being said, the final lift of asphalt is not on there, so there is a ramp up to the old existing asphalt, so it's still not a smooth ride at all, but they're working towards it. I think they're wanting to get it paved relatively quick. I'm not going to give you a date because I don't have a date to give you, a firm date to
Well,
give
the
you.
weather's warmer now, so maybe
The weather's starting to cooperate, and but I know they have been up there working. They're trying to get some concrete work completed on some of the boxes, wing walls. The main line is all open now. Detours are out, and they are driving on the main line. But yet there's some side work being done down in the ditches where the wing walls are tied onto the newly constructed boxes. So
Thank
I
you.
understand the frustrations.
Thank you.
On that evening shade, over there, have all the easement letters been mailed? Did you say all of them?
The Dwight mission,
Yeah.
they were just signed today by both Commissioner Carter and myself, so they will be mailed out, yes, sir. But they haven't gone out yet. When I say just signed, I mean like a matter of hours ago. So, but they will be going out and in the mail, as well as making phone calls and such.
And get ready, right?
What's that now?
So I need to get ready, right?
You might get ready, yes. If you get calls or have questions, don't hesitate to call me.
Good now.
Anyone else?
Just want to publicly thank you, Michael, for giving me my special tutoring session. Well needed.
Well, you bet. Anytime.
Learning curve in this area.
Anytime. Thank you very much. Okay.
Keith, are you signaling or what?
I just let him know I need to visit
Okay,
privately.
thank you, Michael.
Okay. Thank you all.
Gary Cooper.
So good afternoon. Hope everyone is doing good today, even though it's, I guess, technically the day before tax day. So hopefully you have all your taxes done and in. But you have our report. There's just, I think, one or two things that I might be sure to report. You heard Billy talk about that IHS has gotten their money. Well, HUD has kind of done the same thing, so I expect and hope that maybe in a few weeks we might know what our allocation that is, and we will be bringing back the Indian Housing Plan to do an amendment to take into account those numbers. I mentioned that to you last year whenever we approved it. So there'll be a pretty big change there because the numbers that was used to put that together was based on the President's budget request. That was $700 million. The amount actually approved and allocated by Congress was $755 million, up $1 million from last year. So we're proud of that. And that's going to be a pretty big change in our portion of that fund, at least about probably $1 million or so bucks. So we'll be making a change to that and up some of there's a couple of programs that we'll be putting some money back into to take care of that. The other thing that I want to mention is, I've mentioned it a couple other times, we still have some spots open on our VASH program, the Veterans Assistant and Supportive Services Program. We work hand in hand with the VA on that program, and also we do now have the VA person. She is actually housed in one of our office. She uses some of our office space, so it's kind of a one-stop shop. The VA actually has to approve the person. They have to be receiving services through the VA before they can get the housing component. So they work on all of that, and they're licensed social workers, so they work really hard with the families that we have on the program and that we're helping, and we're up to quite a few. So we do have a couple more spots if you know of any veterans who might need that assistance. So I wanted to be sure to mention that. I think other than that, that's really the main things that I wanted to report. Well, there was one other thing. Don't know exactly what it will mean for us. If you probably heard a lot of talk in the last month or so about about the budget that Congress passed, and the Indian housing part. I mentioned that there was an increase in the Nahasta portion of it, but there is also a whole new line item. That whole new line item is $100 million of new dollars that it says that it specifically should go to new construction or rehabilitation type projects, and that will be up to HUD to decide how that's spent as a competitive grant process. Don't have any new information on that other than just what I told you right there. That's pretty much all I know about that. So we are keeping an eye on that. We are following that very closely, and whenever, and also working with them to try to help them any way they might need help in trying to determine how to allocate those dollars. But we will be keeping an eye on that, and hopefully we will see some of that come to the Cherokee Nation.
Thank you, Council. Mitchell Cisco, the meeting we had the other day.
Sure.
When's the application due? Did you say September?
I don't remember exactly for sure, and I don't think that he sent me anything that has that actual hard date of when the application's due.
Are we still good for putting in an application for that, or?
I think if we get all the information from him on how to do the application, we are.
There's an individual named Mitchell Cisco. He works for the military, and they have a building trades program. And what they do is they go into tribes and other nonprofit organizations, and they'll supply the labor and the equipment and the expertise to go into building a pavilion, a community building, a housing addition. And they went on many reservations and tribes, and they built 15 to 20 homes, and then there may be 50 to 60 engineers on site training other people on this trade, this building trade. So, he reached out to me at a benefit dinner, and he says, here's the deal. I live in Northeast Oklahoma, and I'm interested in staying and working around home, because this guy travels all over the United States and he's busy nonstop. But he's wanting to come and partner with the tribe to build homes. But what I was thinking about was community buildings. This guy can build a community building inside your districts. He can build pavilions. But this application, I believe, is due in September. I think he said...
It was sometime later on this year, and I do want to be sure to mention, too, that it also is, the application is due now for 2, 3, 4 years out.
Yeah, it's 2 years out.
Yeah.
But we have to supply all the materials, of course. That's the caveat there. So if you guys are interested in something like that in your areas, I would get with Gary, or I can give you Mitchell's contact
I have all the
information.
contact information. I'll be happy to
And,
share.
and just be creative, and this is a good opportunity to do something big in your all's districts. So, one more question. The VA, do they have a building program where they build homes for veterans? Veteran Affairs?
Not that I'm aware of. The VA has a loan program, but I'm not sure of some type of
So I was up in Cave Springs,
program.
and I was visiting with Elder up there, and he said that his land was tax exempt because it's through the VA. Do you have any idea what that might be, or why his land's tax exempt?
Now, don't hold me to it because your attorney might, but I think that there's actually a state law.
Disabled,
If you're
yeah.
disabled, that your property, you can apply for the exemption, right? Yeah.
Anna, are you familiar with that?
It
Shake your head.
is, if you're
If
a
disabled.
disabled veteran,
Yeah.
then you can apply to have your property exempted from ad valorem taxes.
Really?
The same way on our NAHASTA programs and on a lot of other federal programs is whenever we calculate income, any income from a VA-associated disability, that I think there's a certain type of disability. There's a certain classification, but any of that income is not considered income for purposes of income eligibility or rent calculations.
All right.
So,
Thank you.
so there is some exemptions there.
And it's your home.
At your home?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
You bet. Mary Shaw.
Yes, ma'am.
Very quickly, Gary, you say here that we have 650 constructions under complete on our homes.
Mm-hmm.
How many have been moved in?
All of them.
All of them have families
All the
moved in?
ones that are listed on complete. They're not counted there until they're moved in, until
that's
they're
wonderful.
completed and moved in. And then that can't take into account 11 that we are probably looking at moving folks in the next week to 2 weeks in Bonita. And then there's just a little shy of 90 that are under construction right now.
To have a home, do you have to own property?
Yes and no, and I say that because if your family member, your parents, aunt, uncle, grandma, grandpa owns property and they want to either give it to you or give it to the housing authority for that purpose, then that works too. So it doesn't necessarily have to be yours.
And how much property do they have to have?
In most cases, it's a minimum of 1 acre with access to it. If it's inside like the city limits where they have access to city sewer, then we can do a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, let me go to you, then I've got to go to Hartley here.
Go ahead.
You got a short one?
Yeah, I'm short.
Okay.
House Bill 1344, is that right?
1334?
1334?
Yes,
1334?
yes. So,
There-
when I was up there at State Capitol, I was reading.
Do you want me to just give you an update on it?
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
House Bill 1334 passed out of the House last year, as I think you all know. It is sitting over on the Senate side. Last Monday, I believe, it passed out of Senate Education Committee. So it's just waiting to go to the full Senate for a report. And I think I had looked, and I think that it passed out of Education, and they'd also issued the committee report. So it should either be, I would say, just maybe days away from being considered in the Senate.
Some of the council that's not aware of the House bill, what that is.
In short, just the shortest version possible is it allows public schools to donate any excess land that they have, that they want to housing authority, including an Indian housing authority, which the housing authority is. There's some certain provisions in state law that allows them to donate to like other state organizations, but there's nothing specific for housing authority, so it allows for that to happen. So if, for instance, a landowner in a school district had some excess property, maybe passed away and left some property to the school or something, the school isn't using it or doesn't have any use for it, they could then turn around and donate that should they want to either Indian Housing or Public Housing Authority for purposes of
I'd
constructing.
like to commend Councilwoman Taylor. She did a lot of lobbying on this bill as well. You have a lot of property in your district that might benefit from this
We
bill.
have some, and the thing of it is, if we are allowed, they give it to us, we're allowed to build homes on it, then they can tap into the federal funding that goes.
The impact
Yes.
aid on the backside.
So it's just a win for the school systems because they can take unproductive land and get some income back in.
Absolutely.
Allows us to get Cherokee families in homes, so everybody needs to be.
It's a
lobbying for
win-win,
that.
it's a
Oh, it
win-win for
is.
everyone.
Hey, Gary, is there a way to provide housing in school districts such as this case where the property can't be paid off? Because once a property gets paid off, it's no longer eligible for federal monies that you're talking about.
That's correct, but it does go on the ad valorem rolls
Yeah.
then. So it is still providing income for the schools where now, say they've been sitting on it 10 years and it's one lot in town. What can they do with that?
Sure. But property tax versus impact aid dollars, it's a world of difference. You may be getting pennies on whatever it is versus each kid's worth $3,000 a head that's inside the house. So you have 3 kids in there, it's $9,000.
For 30 years.
Yeah, rolling into the school for as long as the kid's in the school there, you know. Is there a way to provide some type of assistance where these properties don't get paid off, but they're for families of the kids that go into the school?
The only thing that I could think of off the top of my head is, because you would also have to, I mean, based on what you're saying, even whenever a property goes on the ad valorem tax rolls, the school still benefits from it. Whenever it's over on the other side, impact aid is only good for as long as a student in the home is going to school. So you would have to set up some type of long-term rental program where the families would never earn it, where, I mean, I guess, 18 years someone could live in the home and then you'd kick them out and move another family in. I think that would be kind of what would pop into my mind as how you would be able to do that.
Or just get it where they just, the property can't be paid off, it stays in the Cherokee Nation's book.
It would have to be a true rental, I think, with ultimately a hard end or a dead end on when those folks have to leave the property, when they have to get out and you move someone else in.
Gotcha. Something to think about. Thank you, Chair.
Harlan?
And a while ago when I was asking about having Barbara or that other guy that's in charge of VA, these are some good points that Councilor Walkenstick and other people have made about veterans. I don't think we're giving veterans a full benefit of what we've got over here to offer. I don't know if Barbara worked with Jerry on housing issues and things like that, or even is aware of it.
They are, and
Okay.
they refer people over to our VA person all the time.
And the other question I had, Gary, was on that $100 million
Yes,
that's coming about, is that a competitive type grant that's going to be competitive to tribes?
yes. But, I mean, that's really all we know.
That's
Is
all you
that
know.
there was this little blurb in the appropriations language that says that, yes, it's $100 million of new money, not related to the formula, that it will be a competitive process that HUD establishes how it's to be done, that it's preferred that it is used for, to generate construction or rehabilitation type projects, and that those who applying for it have the capacity.
And I know this has been brought up.
And that's really all we know. So we
I
don't
know
know if
this-
there'll be a limit or
This has been
not.
brought up before, but were you going to find out about storm shelters, places for our housing participants? Were you you ever looked into that?
Individual ones, we do
No,
do,
no,
we,
for-
like group type storm
Group
shelters.
type storm shelters for housing.
We have looked at a couple of deals, and we are also following along the ICDBG part that they're doing over in the Head Start Center, because actually a couple of those actually help our people right there, boom. Because we have two properties that we actually provide to Head Start Center, to their Head Start Center
So it's
is
that-
on our property. So that's where those are located at, in Nowata and Pryor.
The other thing on the House bill that the Councilor's talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, this is an excellent bill, and I hope it does pass the Senate to where we can.
And we hope so too, and hopefully we'll know pretty quick.
Okay. Thank you.
I hear tell, I don't know for sure, but I hear tell that the leadership in Oklahoma City is hoping, maybe planning to finish up work in the next few weeks.
Good.
I don't know.
Thanks, John.
I don't know how they can get it done, but apparently.
Yes, that deal ought to sound familiar. I've heard you bring that up several times. Something similar, you know, as far as getting these houses built by the schools, so.
Yeah.
Good thinking there, Dave. Gary, I don't want to let this thing pass real quick. The Willard, the volunteer thing. Can you go over that just a little bit more?
Self-help? Which one?
The one where they volunteer, they do we do the material, they do the building that y'all
Yeah.
were just talking about. Willard.
Oh, that's a different one. This is a totally different one.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking
What he
about.
was talking about.
Mitchell
Yeah, the house bill. I was just gonna say.
No. The volunteer program he was
Mitchell.
talking about is a whole new one. That's not
Yeah, can you-
building trades. That's
What-
not,
It's through the military.
that is a,
But you said you had all the information on it.
Yes, he does.
on that, yes,
Yeah, that's
we
what I'm
do.
talking about. So
It's pretty much what he said it was,
I
is
heard you
you,
mention the houses.
you can apply for them, and it's kind of like a competitive type process depending on what they're looking to train
Say houses.
soldiers doing. I mean, because that's what they are, is they are either active duty or reservists that they bring in to train in areas of building trades. So that's what they're looking for, is projects that they can do on-site in the states to train our soldiers, so whenever they are deployed, they have the skill set that they might need to either build buildings or houses
So they
or
build it,
properties
and
or
the partner
things like that.
supplies.
There, you can apply for that to be done. We would have to supply the materials, and they would supply the expertise and labor to do it all.
If we did that, would it be a housing authority thing, or would it have to be Cherokee dollars?
Could be either one. I mean, they would have to be non-federal dollars.
Not effective,
Yeah, because that's one of the requirements, and that's a requirement for a lot of programs. That's one thing specific with their program, is you can't use other federal dollars.
Where did y'all find out about that?
Through just contact that Counselor Walkenstick had made with one of the guys who, that's his area of expertise
Has
in the
your
program
office
he runs.
Interested in going to apply? Or?
Yep, yeah, we've been in contact with him, and he has all my information, and we're waiting on the rest of the application packet, because we do plan on submitting an application.
There wouldn't be any reason we wouldn't want to, would there?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head, but I wouldn't say that with any degree of certainty without seeing the final application packet to know what all the details is. I can't jump off and say definitely yet. I need to see all the details.
Sounds good to me so far. Thank you.
Orland?
Just a little bit of FYI. We have done some of those projects with Corps of Engineers.
Yeah.
You just have to keep an eye on them if you get them in here to do it. We did a road and also did a water line with the Corps of Engineers, and it did okay. You just have to have an inspector out there to keep an eye on what they're doing all the time. So there's a little component to it. So yeah, we've done those before here at the nation. So just FYI.
Anyone else? Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, sir.
Good houses.
Anna Knight?
Good afternoon. Hey, Anna. You have a copy of my report, and I would just like to update you just a little bit on the VITA, the tax returns. As of April 4th, and next month we'll have a final tally, we completed 1,342 tax returns, and the taxpayers received back $2.1 million in tax refunds. So, I also wanted to let you know that the Youth Entrepreneur Business Plan Contest is still on for next week. The schools want to go forward with it, so we'll be in Tahlequah, Sequoia High School next Tuesday on the 24th, and in Claremore at the Tech Center on Thursday the 26th. And the last thing I would just like to point out on page 2 of my report, I'm very proud of this, and I wanted to point it out. Since 2007, when we began the long-term self-sufficiency counseling, 841 families that were not able to qualify for a mortgage loan were able to improve their credit scores, reduce their debt-to-income ratios, and qualify for a non-predatory mortgage loan. And to date, not one of those people have had foreclosure on their homes. Where our normal map, it's about 2.4% foreclosure rate. So there really is a strong correlation between financial education training and people being able to sustain their home ownership program. So anyhow, the staff does a great job, and I just wanted to bring that up. Other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions? That's been a good report.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. See Nikki Baker? Okay, come on down.
Hi, I'm Tammy Haley. I'm one of the program managers with Indian Child Welfare. Nikki is in Alaska doing a presentation with NSU on our partnership. She's at the National Indian Conference this week, and she just asked me to come and let you know that she has nothing additional to report.
Okay. You ready to answer questions?
Okay, I'll try.
If we have any questions? Good report.
Thank you.
The bat, I gotta make, we've had an error on there on the first page, right next to where it says 28, we put February, it's supposed to be March, so. Only 30 days off or somewhere like that, but any questions? Any of you have your report in front of you? I'll be glad to answer any of them, or attempt anyway.
Councilor Walton Stick.
I have a comment.
Sure.
Rob, I want to appreciate you and your staff coming out to Cookson to talk to those folks out there. We're tickled to death about starting up a Cherokee community organization out there. So I appreciate you providing people out there and having that readily available if someone needs some information on all that. So your staff's well trained and they were very informative.
I will pass that on. Thank you to the staff. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. I have just a couple of dates to go through. This Thursday, the 19th, Catherine Foreman Gray will be having a lunch and learn session, and we're having a gentleman from the National Park Service to come in, and it's cemetery headstone preservations. We've had some community people ask. That's during the lunch hour, and we'll feed you if you come. That's this Thursday, the 19th. From the National Park Service, we have as part of a lunch and learn series that we have. Then on April 24th, we're going to be in Westville for I believe a cultural for a cultural presentation. Then up in May, but just a heads up, we're coming to Dry Creek over down in that area, so for another presentation, cultural presentation.
Okay, thank you. Denise Taylor from Pryor, Oklahoma.
Last week, Jessa Sally came and presented a cultural presentation south of Locust Grove. And he had gotten into his presentation, and then the Oaks Indian Mission came in with all of their kids. I don't know if Donnie told you about that or not.
Oh, really?
But they all showed up, and so it was a really fun night, because usually you have a lot of elders that are there and everything, and then all these teenagers came in, so it's kind of fun.
Jess does well.
Yeah, oh yeah, he's good.
Does well.
Any other questions?
On that 19th, what you gonna do on the 19th?
I'm not certain, on the 19th, that's during the noon hour. It's a
Yeah.
lunch and learn session. It's a gentleman from the National Park Service is coming in to, it's pretty popular because a lot of our old cemeteries, a lot of our Cherokee cemeteries they don't have really much. It's not commercial, what you would buy as a headstone. There is a way, a lot of it's limestone, as I understand. There is a way, and he'll show a way how to preserve those headstones, because some of them you can't even read. And after he finishes with them, as I understand, you can read them pretty good. So and some of the community people were saying, "Is there anything we can do? Can you help us buy headstones?" And that's a kind of a family situation there. But this gentleman here from Park Service will come in, and he's traveling quite a bit. He's coming in, I believe, from Ohio or somewhere for that one day luncheon, and to preserve, to show how to preserve headstones, because they're out there in the weather and stuff, and that's what he does.
Rob, would you send us an email on that?
Sure can.
Victoria?
Yes, thank you. Don't we normally have the 2-day preservation about that very same thing in May? Isn't that coming up where they have a workshop, people sign up for?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
CNB?
Is it our conference, Victoria?
Well, I thought CNB put it on.
CNB,
Oh, yes,
they do put something on
And
similar.
I think that's in May, I believe. And then you can have, people can go to this and learn a lot of things like that for their cemeteries in their
Okay.
area. I can't remember who to tell.
Yeah, I can't remember when it is in May.
I think it's early May.
And that's CNB does that, so.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you.
Okay.
Welcome. Anyone else? Thank you, Rob.
You're welcome. What else?
No old business or new business. Next meeting is scheduled for Monday, May 14th, 4 p.m.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Not yet.